Good morning. Hello, I'm Marilyn McMahon. I am a member of your Board of Trustees, and I'd like to welcome everyone here this morning, to my dear fellow members of First Unitarian of Oakland and all our friends of First Unitarian. A hearty welcome and a special welcome to anyone who's new here this morning. We're glad that you're among us. We strive to be a radically inclusive community and to oppose all kinds of oppression. As Unitarian Universalists, we come together around a few core values and beliefs, such as the intrinsic worth and dignity of every human being. And we value the variety of our perspectives and beliefs. Whatever your background, however you're feeling this morning, whatever your struggles and hopes, we're glad you're with us. At the end of the service today, there will be a 10-minute orientation for newcomers, I believe. Is Emily Stoper here? Oh, there she is! I didn't recognize her in her costume. Emily will give a short orientation just down here in front of the chancel at the end of this service to answer your questions and tell you a little about our church. We also invite newcomers to fill out the online guest connection form, which will help us connect you to things that will interest you in our church. If you're on Zoom, the link is provided in the chat. And if you're here in the sanctuary with us, look for a gray card on a seat back in the row in front of you. There is a QR code and a link on one side of that card. I have an announcement about a workshop by Hope for Us. If you missed the in-person workshop with Hope for Us on restorative approaches to congregational conflict, join us for a shorter version on Zoom. It will be on Wednesday, November 1st from 6 to 8 p.m. Get introduced to restorative and transformative justice practices and philosophies, and leave with an understanding of the framework that will guide our year of work together with Hope for Us. Please register by today. In the event of lower registration, it may be rescheduled. So register today, and I have a URL here. There's nothing on a slide. Come talk to me or anyone else on the board or anyone else perhaps who's read the Chalice Chatter. I'm not sure where that link to sign up is available. If you didn't get an email, ask around till you find someone who can give it to you, or I have it on this piece of paper. All right. And now I'd like to give you an update on our stewardship campaign. Our annual pledge drive continues. As of this morning, I'm happy to announce we have pledges of $151,059 toward our goal of $350,000 for our 2024 church operations. We're halfway into the campaign and almost halfway to our goal. For those who have made their 2024 pledges online, thank you for your generosity. We could not be here without you. To those of you who have not yet, please make an online pledge this week. We'll begin phoning those who have not been online to fill out the form. We're using the pledge form not only to receive your pledges, but to confirm your membership so our report to the UUA is accurate. Even if you made a sustaining pledge in the past, we ask you to please go online and click on the stewardship link on the homepage to reconfirm your pledge for the coming year. We can't get there without your support. Sincerely, your stewardship team, Debbie Kaplan, Dennis Rocliffe, and Dave Rudy. And they thank you.
Thank you for that welcome, Marilyn. My name is Orhan Hostin Mittermeier. I'll be one of your worship associates today, and I'm here to do a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land and the peoples who belong to this land, the Muwekma and Lizjan Ohlone peoples. Our church, institutions, and homes are occupying their lands, ancestral and current. We acknowledge the lands were stolen from the Ohlone peoples, who have an ancestral relationship with this land, the plants, the animals, and the water, for millennia continuous to the present day. Ohlone people are still here. We recognize that the Ohlone ancestors, in spirit and of the land, are present. In solidarity with all Indigenous people and their right to self-determination and justice, we commit to working towards accountability of theft, dispossession, and the resulting trauma Native peoples continue to face. We commit to being active partners towards the healing of the intergenerational trauma which persists to this day. Amen. So may we live.
Good morning. I'm Josh Rose. I'm one of your worship associates. Good morning. This morning we'll do the peace candle lighting, Black Lives Matter candle lighting, and the other one, chalice lighting. So we light our peace candle with the words of the Lemkin Institute for Genocide Prevention. The futility of genocide is on our minds tonight as we observe the radicalization of Israel's violence against Palestinians. The genocidal siege of Gaza will bring neither security nor peace. It is only making our world more dangerous for small and marginalized communities especially, but also for the big powers who erroneously feel they are invincible. We light our Black Lives Matter candle with the words of Dr. Bettina Love, educational researcher and author of the 2023 book, Punished for Dreaming: How School Reform Harms Black Children and How We Heal. White supremacy and capitalism work in unison, even in education. It is beyond a pipeline of corruption. It is deliberate, massive, intentional, and profitable mechanism for the educational death of Black children. Together we say, Black Lives Matter. And then finally, we light our chalice with the words, these words that you're welcome to follow along with if you know the hand signals. We light this chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. May it remind us of the divine spark in all creation, the power of love to heal what is broken, and to be grateful for life's blessings each day. Thank you.
Welcome. I am Piper Roanoke Swim, your worship leader this morning. And I want to welcome you to the Witches' New Year. This is our highest holy day, Samhain and Halloween, that we celebrate today. And so I'm going to begin a longer than usual call to worship by saying a bit about what that means. On October 31st, we witches mark the close of one year and the beginning of the new. One key way we do this is by honoring the dead, both those who died this last year and those who have long since passed from this world. We believe that at Samhain, the veil between our worlds, the worlds of living and dead, is thinner than at any other time, and contact between the living and the dead is easiest. We speak the names of those who died in the past year. We reconnect with our beloved dead and the mighty dead, those of great power and wisdom. Many people have passed on this year, and we will honor them, but they're not our focus today. In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, there is another ritual for this, the tolling of the bells service. Instead, this morning, we will honor and seek to connect with the more than human ancestors, those species lost forever in the sixth great extinction. Most of these mighty dead, humans know little about. Many have died before scientists ever discovered them. Most of them died because of our actions. This is not an easy topic. It is deep, difficult, witchy work. You may experience many emotions as you grieve these dead. We will learn some techniques for engaging in this work without getting overwhelmed. And after the service, though I so wish I could be there as I intended, the Star King Room will be open to help you process any emotions that need care. So why today? As an all-ages service, are we doing this? It was our decision to focus on the immense ecological turmoil of our planet and focus on our grief. This is not a counterintuitive moment for our youth. I am a millennial. On this, I stand at a crossroads. I remember a stable climate, and I'm the last generation that can say that for the foreseeable future. The youth of our world need us to pay attention to what's happening. The temptation to distract ourselves is immense because the future is frightening. So we turn to grief work. We process in community. We remember those who fell this year. We ask them to share their wisdom with us that humankind will find a better way to live because we know we don't have that figured out yet. There is a phrase we often repeat at Samhain. I invite you to say it after me, and more than that, I invite you for this next hour to believe it. What is remembered lives. And so in the discomfort of facing humanity's sins and the comfort of this present, safe, community-filled moment, in person and in Zoom, this Samhain we gather to worship. And in one voice, let the people say, "Come, let us worship together." And now, let us give our attention and our joy to the performance by the pop-up choir. Their song will invite those more than human ancestors into our worship. Please join them in spirit, welcoming the sacred ancestors.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Susan Kiter. I have the honor of, what an awesome costume. Oh my stars. I'm so delighted you are here. It just makes my heart joyful. And the light up gloves next to it. Do you have light up gloves? Oh, wow. And look at all these lovely costumes. We are honored by your presence. Thank you so much. Hands in the air. That it just makes me so happy. Oh. What also makes me happy is these beautiful people up here. I have the pleasure as co-director of music here. I can't remember if I said my name. My name is Susan Kiter. I get to co-direct music here with Renee Witten. And this is this morning's pop-up choir. Aren't they beautiful? And we have one more member. She is in the back with the children. She hopes to join us later. You might say, what is pop-up choir? Pop-up choir is a choir that anyone can join. On the last Sunday of each month at 9:15 a.m., whoever wishes can gather here. You learn 2 songs, you sing them at the 10:30 service, and you're done by 11:30. But you get to sing with others and minister musically to everyone who joins in the congregation. I'm delighted you're here, and Here she comes. Oh, our sixth member, in costume no less. This morning's our first song is Samhain, and I invite you to sit back and enjoy. Samhain, Samhain, let the ritual begin. We call upon our sacred ancestors to come in. Samhain, Samhain, we call upon our kin. We call upon our dear departed loved ones to come in. The veil between the worlds is thin. Our hearts reach across the sea of time to bring our loved ones in. Samhain, Samhain, we honor all our kin. We honor those who've gone before, and the great wheel turns again. Samhain, Samhain, we call upon our kin. We call upon our sacred ancestors to come in. Samhain, Samhain, we call them to come in. We call upon our dear departed loved ones to come in. The veil between the worlds is thin. Our hearts reach across the sea of time to bring our loved ones in. Samhain, Samhain, we honor all our kin. We honor those who've gone before, and the great wheel turns again. Samhain, Samhain, we call them to come in. We honor those who've gone before, and the great wheel turns again.
Thank you to the pop-up choir for that amazing song. Now is the time in our service when we get to greet each other, whether that be here or in the Zoom chat. Make a new friend.
Beloveds, it's time to come sit. Thank you for your generosity of spirit. Please find your chairs and let yourself settle in. It's time to sit down. It's time to sit down. I hope that you will soon sit down and the service can continue. Oh, please find your chairs. We'd like to tell you more. There's so much more that's coming here. We'd like to share with you.
So now begins a portion of the service called the Tolling of the Bells. And we're going to read a list of species that were listed extinct this year. And many of the species in the US were listed under the Endangered Species Act in the 1970s and 80s and were in very low numbers or likely already extinct at the time of listing. So it highlights the importance of the Endangered Species Act, which is 50 years old this year, and strives to protect the listed species so they can ultimately be removed from the list because of abundance rather than decline. The 21 species listed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service underscore how human activity can drive species decline and extinction by contributing to habitat loss, overuse, and the introduction of invasive species and diseases. So we'll begin with our readings of the species. The little Mariana fruit bat, or Guam flying fox, Bachman's warbler, bridled white-eye, Oahu akialoa, Kauai nukapu, Kauai o'o, large Kauai thrush, Maui akepa, Molokai creeper, pauli, San Marcos gambusia, Scioto madtum, flat pigtie or Marshall's mussel, southern acorn shell, stirrup shell, upland comb shell.
Green blossom, Chinese paddlefish, Yangtze sturgeon, Florida govinia, sharp-snouted day frog, mountain mist frog, Denise's saxicolella, Rayatian ground partula snail, Garrett's tree snail, jaguarundi, Belschmiadia ningmingensis, Coots tree snail, white-handed gibbon, northern white-cheeked gibbon, the dugong, Poecilobothus majesticus, Chot el-Jared barbel, Syzygium humbloti, and finally the giant Atlas barbel, as well as many other species who we did not even know existed, but have nevertheless gone extinct. Dear members of our cherished community, let us take this moment to reflect on the species that have vanished from our world. Many of these casualties are due to human contributions to habitat destruction, pollution, and climate change. Although many species have been lost, it is also within our power to make a difference. As someone who loves to be in and around nature, it pains me to see the current trend of extinction, and this is what personally motivates me to action. I'm sure that many of you feel the same way which is why I call us to our communal duty as custodians of the earth. I hope that we can honor the species that have gone extinct by protecting those that are still with us. I want to acknowledge the work being done to reduce environmental impact, support conservation efforts, and endorse policies that protect our planet's biodiversity. By continuing and reinforcing these efforts, we can preserve the natural habitat for those alive and those yet to be born. Let us remember the species that have gone extinct by renewing our dedication to conservation and responsible environmental practices. May we, as stewards of this earth, stand united in our mission to protect and preserve the wondrous tapestry of life that remains. Thank you. Now, in light of our communal duty, join us in singing Gathered Here.
I invite you to rise in body and or spirit to join in this hymn. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near.
So now is the time in our service where we have our embracing meditation. And this is an opportunity to say aloud those people or people that you are grieving today, who has transitioned this year. And when I ring the bell, feel free to speak.
James, kind impulse of the universe. We come to you with hearts that are heavy. Beautiful faces and voices fill our thoughts, humans and more than humans, whom we will never see again. And we know that death and grief will come again, soon, many times, but we don't want it to. Help us to feel the pain and not to turn aside. Help us to hold the joy that is also in our lives, alongside this grief. Help us to carry these heavy hearts. You know that we don't want to ignore the damage we do to the planet, and you know that it is hard for us to stay present to it. Remind us that love is also a force of nature, no easier to escape than gravity, though we humans can forget about them both from time to time. Help us to remember those sources of wisdom that bring us strength and solace in times of intensity. Parables and folk tales, sacred writings, and the maxims of our departed elders. As we take 3 breaths together, bring these sources to our minds and our hearts. Spirit of life and love, we thank you for helping us to bear these complex emotions. Now we ask that you be with us in song as well, as we sing hymn number 1009, Meditation on Breathing. Throughout the rest of this service, I invite you to practice what we just sang. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. For those joining us by Zoom who did not get that audio. Especially when you feel overwhelmed or start to tune out, simply return to your breath. Breathe in peace, breathe out love, and stay connected. I'm going to do 3 things in the next few minutes, and I invite you to do them with me, if you feel so moved. One is to discuss the theory of a window of tolerance, with the subtitle, Why Did We Bring Up All This Grief Stuff Anyway? The second is to speak briefly about a few of the mighty dead species we're grieving today. The third is to go on a meditative journey to connect with one of those mighty dead of your choosing, and then share what you've learned with others around you. As with any ritual, if at any time it doesn't feel right to do, don't. And if you feel overwhelmed or like you want to space out, just go back to your breath. If you haven't heard about the idea of a window of tolerance before, this is a brief overview. The theory coming from psychology says that there is a limited range of stimulation for each person. Sensory stimulation, emotional stimulation, whatever kind. When we're dealing with environmental and emotional loads that are a little stressful but not overwhelming, we're in an ideal space for growth. We know this. Imagine that you're a novice cook who feels confident about cooking a pot of pasta and very little else. You learn nothing from repeatedly boiling a pot of plain water. And you learn nothing if you're told that you have 10 minutes to make a souffle, but you don't have the recipe. In that souffle situation, when your strangely demanding cooking teacher gives you that ultimatum, you might either shut down, check out, avoid thinking about the task, distract yourself. You might have a huge emotional response, crying, yelling, obviously panicking about it. And this is what happens to a lot of us when we're faced with climate change disasters, one after another. When you think about the number of animals going extinct, or the melting ice caps, or the rise of war and famine from dwindling resources, you may often, or at least sometimes, either go from reading that article or watching that report to distracting yourself with something pleasant, or into a storm of furious emotion, desperate to act now, in whatever way might possibly make sense. Neither of these is a voluntary reaction. You're not being a bad person when you're not able to focus on the plight of that infant polar bear for more than a few minutes. It's a neurological response to overwhelming stimulus. You're outside of your window of tolerance. As a society, we're outside our windows of tolerance around climate change. This is part of why we're obsessed with minutiae of cultural details and infinite scrolls on the internet, while we need to be taking drastic collective action to help our planet. We're overwhelmed. And your window of tolerance isn't a fixed constant. When we live through trauma, the window can get smaller. Through our own actions, we can widen our windows of tolerance. Breathing helps. Let's take a breath. Faith in community helps. Grounding techniques and meditation help. And experiencing discomfort helps. It is deeply uncomfortable to me that those species are extinct because of human actions that I benefited from. And so we make this time in a safe, supportive environment to feel those emotions. When we get ourselves a little uncomfortable but not overwhelmed, our ability to tolerate more discomfort in the future increases. Like when that very strange cooking instructor sets us to making oatmeal with the recipe. Today, we look at these extinct lives in a calm community gathering, surrounded by music and friends. And next time you may be able to stay tuned in to that disturbing article a little longer. You may be able to move beyond either checking out or taking hasty, angry action to calm, measured, effective, and loving responses to climate crisis that best create change. So how does that sound? I bet it doesn't sound comfortable. It shouldn't. Let's get uncomfortable again right now. Notice your reactions as you learn about these animals. Notice which ones you're drawn to. On October 18th, 11 days ago, the United States Fish and Wildlife Service took 8 species of native Hawaiian honeycreeper birds off the endangered species list. These birds were incredibly precious to the native peoples of Hawaii, our colonized state. One of them, the Kauai o'o, was the last of its family, marking the first extinction of an avian family in over 500 years. It lived in the lush forested canyons of Kauai and was a very vocal bird, both males and females singing often. We last heard the o'o, the Kauai o'o, 2 years after we last saw one. It loved nectar, especially from the ohia lehua tree, the first tree that colonizes new land after lava flows. What is remembered lives. The mountain mist frog was declared extinct last year. It lived in Queensland, Australia, in rivers that move so fast that the water turns white. While adults lived on banks or rocks nearby, the tadpoles spent their whole childhoods in that fast-flowing water. Their tails were powerful and their bodies shaped to help water flow around them, but in floods they still had to burrow into the sand to not get swept away. What is remembered lives. The West African black rhinoceros was last seen in 2006. It was a browser with the same general diet pattern as a very large deer. It slept through the heat of the day and sought food in the morning and evening. Females would raise their calves for 3 or 4 years before having another. And the species as a whole is so nearsighted that they relied on the flights of birds around them to warn them about predators approaching. What is remembered lives. The Xerxes blue butterfly has been gone since the 1940s, but it lived just miles from here on the dunes that became San Francisco. It was a lovely periwinkle blue butterfly, and recent genetic testing of the specimens that we still have show us that it has been struggling to adapt ever since the last ice age ended, which means that it stubbornly held on to life for somewhere around 75,000 years after its ideal climate conditions ended forever. Veterinarian and author Mark Jermone Walters once remarked, "When the tiny wings of the last Xerxes blue butterfly ceased to flutter, our world grew quieter by a whisper and duller by a hue." What is remembered lives. Last, the Japanese sea lion was a cousin of our California sea lions. Like humans, they usually raised one pup at a time, no more than one a year, please. Like other sea lions, they ate fish. They were amazing swimmers. Uniquely, the Japanese sea lion spent almost all of their time on land resting inside of caves instead of the sunshine that other sea lions preferred. We have no idea why. What is remembered lives. They have something in common, these 5 animals. You may have guessed. Humans are a primary reason they died out. Breathing in, breathing out. For the next few moments, I'd like to take you on a journey. First, think on those 5 animals or on another extinct animal or plant that you have a connection with. Some of you may have come dressed as one today. I invite you to get comfortable, which may mean stretching or moving around for a moment. Feel free. For the next few minutes, let's play pretend like we used to. We're going on a journey to an ancient place, the home of an extinct animal or plant, one of the mighty dead. If this doesn't work for you, you can reflect on what you've learned intellectually about them, but I recommend you stretch your imagination as well. You may be surprised what you find. So I invite you to close your eyes. You're setting out from somewhere familiar and safe. Home, or a favorite park, or right here in the sanctuary. There is a path in front of you. Moving along it is easy and comfortable. Whatever mode of movement you find. You may feel excited, like you're going to meet an old friend. Soon your surroundings are wilder, less oriented toward humans. They remind you of the habitat of the animal or plant you're going to see, even if you're not sure who that is yet. Notice. You arrive. What does their home look like? They invite you in. Though you may never have met this species in life, you feel a connection with your host. You know that your life is different because this beloved one once lived. They have something to tell you. Something that they feel will be of benefit to you or your species now. Listen, just for a few moments. They deserve your full attention. All too soon, it's time to say farewell to your companion. You turn and move, again so easily, along the path to home. As you travel, your surroundings become more familiar and more human-oriented. What about your own home now seems surprising or jarring? When you're ready, if you closed your eyes, I invite you to open them. Turn your awareness to this place and this time. So, what did that companion teach you? What did you learn from that mighty dead? I invite you next to turn to your neighbor and share for 2 minutes. If you didn't go on the journey or didn't receive a specific message, you can spend the time sharing your emotions around climate grief. When you are the listener, listen as deeply as you can, as if the words you hear were those of a beloved mentor. And after 2 minutes, I'll invite you to switch roles. You will hear the sound of our little singing bowl if you are in the sanctuary. And those of us on Zoom will have a conversation together. Let us begin.
Slowly bring your conversation to a close.
But alone. What we can do today and as often as possible is to expand our windows of tolerance for engaging with this deeply traumatic time in our planet's history. We can learn from the other species around us. We can remember their joy, their playfulness, We can model how to engage with grief to those younger humans who look up to us to find out what to do. And a breath at a time, we become better able to make lasting, loving change. If you have gotten this far today, you have done wonderful work. And if you are ready to make that change, I do have some suggestions from the website endangered.org, which has a lot. I'll call out a few of them. Learn who near your home is endangered. Learn about them. Volunteer at or just visit a national wildlife refuge, a park, or another open space. These are the places where they thrive. If you have land that is yours to care for, plant some native plants and don't use herbicides or pesticides. And when we're driving, slow down. These mighty dead are gone, but they are not forgotten. What is remembered lives. I invite you to say it with me. What is remembered lives. Blessed be, and Happy New Year. And we return to the hymn, Meditation on Breathing, number 1009 in your teal hymnal.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
I have my notes.
I've been invited to say a few words about why Tim and I joined this community. And I have Tim's permission. Tim approves this message. Tim and I practice Buddhism. We practice Tibetan Buddhism, which means we agree with the Buddha that suffering is inherent in life and that one can be liberated from it by cultivating wisdom, concentration, and compassion. We believe that with compassion, we can help alleviate the suffering of others and create a good human society where everyone knows they are fundamentally worthy and complete. After the pandemic, our Buddhist community went online and got a lot smaller. Now they're only meditating heads on a screen. So we decided to look for a spiritual community that was in person and that embraced everyone, all races, ages, socioeconomic situations, cultures, and beliefs. We came here to check you out. We saw the Black Lives Matter and rainbow banners. We heard you say that you want to build a beloved community, which we translated to mean a good human society or an enlightened society. We heard you use the word love a lot, which to us means compassion. We saw you included all kinds of people, and we could feel how rich that is. There weren't any symbols of any specific creed, and the rituals were designed to further our mutual values. Rituals are really important. Even if all you want is spirituality, you don't want religion, what religion offers is community and rituals, which nourish spiritual path. The music was affecting because Buddhists don't sing, and we got warm welcomes from Pastor Nanan, Emily Stoper, Debbie Kaplan, Susan Kiter, and a lot of other people who talked to us right away. That felt really good. So we decided to join your community. I'm a doer, so I started volunteering right away, and as a greeter, I got to meet even more of you, which is wonderful. Last week, we got in gathered to this community, which means we're like legit, right? I got a pin. I got a pin. Pins are good. A good human society in the future would be nice, but you have it right here in this moment for an hour. You make it happen with greetings and individual conversations and talking to someone new. You wish for health and happiness for everybody, and you don't give up on anybody, even people you don't like. You can do all that for an hour. Your beloved community is right here. It's now. In a moment, the ushers will pass the collection baskets for your donations. Many of our members fulfill their pledges by mailing a check, by text, or through electronic banking. You can find links to these methods on the projector screen. As the baskets pass this morning, I invite you to consider the importance of this church in your lives and to give generously. This church does a lot of things that other churches don't do. This church is involved in the greater community, which is different. Let's see, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, if this is your first time here, please let the basket pass you by. And your presence here today is enough of a gift for our congregation. We hope you'll come back. Will the ushers please come forward? The morning's offering will now be received. Thank you.
Now, please join me in saying our communal offertory words. To the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love we call community, we dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings. Thank you.
offer to you now a Sufi blessing. We're going to sing it a few times, and then you are invited to join us. May the blessings of love rest upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May the presence of love illuminate your heart, now and forevermore. May the blessings of love rest upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May the presence of love illuminate your heart, now and forevermore. Please join us. May the blessings of love rest upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May the presence of love illuminate your heart, now and forevermore. Well, let's do it one more time. May the blessings of love rest upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May the presence of love illuminate your heart, now and forevermore. Now and forevermore.
As our service comes to a close, I want to offer a thank you to the beloved dead, our ancestors of many species. You who've come here during this time when the veil between our worlds is thin, thank you. We know it is in our power to change our ways. We will remember you with the wisdom we learned today. What is remembered lives. Hail and farewell. If you need more time to process, please join Reverend Laurel in the Star King room. Otherwise, I hope to see you at the potluck to my right in Wenty Hall. There will be food, there will be a Halloween procession, and maybe some games. Amen and blessed be. Thank you.